Why Vince McMahon didn't let Randy Orton ride a camel. At the 2021 Crown Jewel PPV in Saudi Arabia, Riddle and Randy Orton, known at the time as RK Bro, were set to defend their Raw Tag Team Championships against the duo of AJ Styles and Omos. Orton and Riddle were engaged in an entertaining, odd couple partnership that saw Riddle acting goofy, riding a scooter everywhere he went, and making weed references at any given opportunity. Riddle was provided the chance to take his stoner gimmick to the next level at Crown Jewel when he made his entrance riding a camel, something not seen all too often in the professional wrestling world. The former WWE star spoke in an interview with Developmentally Speaking, revealing that he tried to get Orton up on a camel too, but was shut down by the boss. I remember when we were in Saudi and I rode the camel and Randy was like, "I want to ride a camel." I was like, "Yeah, Randy, get Randy on a camel." And then Vince was like, "No." Randy's like, "Why not?" He's Vince like, "Your character wouldn't ride a camel." What a simple answer, you know? Riddle recently made a surprise appearance at TNA Turning Point, though it was reported that the company had no intention of using him regularly. Former WWE star Riddle tells a story about Vince McMahon, Randy Orton, and a camel. Riddle surprised fans in 2021 when he came to the ring at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, riding a camel. Meanwhile, his partner Randy Orton looked on with a puzzled expression, stopping to sneer at Riddle's antics. As announcer Corey Graves mused, "Imagine what's going through Randy Orton's mind right now." Byron Saxton added, "I think Randy Orton is jealous." As it turns out, Saxton may have been correct. On Developmentally Speaking, Riddle shared an anecdote about that moment. He said Orton also wanted to ride a camel, but his request was shot down by then WWE CEO Vince McMahon. The way Riddle tells the story, one can picture Orton's childlike enthusiasm as he expresses his desire to ride a camel. Alas, it wasn't to be, leaving one to imagine how devastated Orton might have been. In retrospect, McMahon's decision to veto Orton's request makes sense. Looking at Orton's character, that of a cold-blooded snake, riding a camel would have seemed out of place. One could argue that McMahon's vision was out of touch, especially as Orton began indulging in Riddle's humor as their team, RK Bro, flourished. Ultimately, McMahon likely made the right call, as Orton was still warming up to his tag team championship partner. Since returning to action in 2023 from a serious back injury, fans today have seen a more playful Orton. It's become common to see him smile at fans or sign autographs during his entrance. As he was coming to the ring earlier this year for a match, Orton joked about his weight, calling himself a big boy. Perhaps under Paul Levesque's creative regime, fans may one day see a viper riding a camel at a future event in Saudi Arabia. Of course, that's assuming that jovial snake hasn't turned bitter and bitten his friend, Cody Rhodes, by then. Riddle explains why Vince McMahon wouldn't let Randy Orton ride a camel in WWE. Former WWE chairman Vince McMahon was known for his various idiosyncrasies, some of which were hard to understand. Riddle, who worked under McMahon during his time in WWE, has recalled one such instance which left him a little puzzled. Riddle, during his WWE run, teamed with Randy Orton, with the two winning the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships on 2 occasions, and had an unusual entrance during one of their tag team title defenses. The former UFC star, who was known for his laid-back demeanor on-screen, rode to the ring in a camel at the Crown Jewel show in 2021, when he and Orton were to defend their titles against AJ Styles and Omos. While Riddle arrived at the ring on a camel, Orton wasn't afforded one as he walked beside Riddle and the camel. Riddle, in a recent interview with Developmentally Speaking, has recalled the reason why McMahon forbade Orton from sitting atop a camel. "I remember when we were in Saudi and I rode the camel and Randy was like, 'I want to ride a camel.' I was like, 'Yeah, Randy, get Randy on a camel.' And then Vince was like, 'No.' Randy's like, 'Why not?' He's Vince like, 'Your character wouldn't ride a camel.' What a simple answer, you know," said Riddle. At the show, Riddle and Orton successfully defended their titles, but lost it a few months later to Alpha Academy, before regaining it once again for their second and final run with the titles. Further in the interview, Riddle added that despite McMahon's eccentricities, he loved working under him, as well as the current WWE creative head, Paul Triple H Levesque. If you use any quotes from this article, please credit the Developmentally Speaking podcast and provide a hat tip to Wrestling Incorporated for transcription. Why bizarre Randy Orton request was denied by Vince McMahon. A former WWE star has discussed Vince McMahon shooting down a bizarre request from Randy Orton involving a camel. Before his most recent WWE return, Randy Orton's career took a surprisingly comedic turn thanks to his alliance with Matt Riddle. Despite Riddle initially rubbing Orton the wrong way, the two went on to become a fairly successful team as RK Bro, winning the Raw Tag Team Championship twice. What made their unexpected pairing so memorable, though, was their straight man/funny man dynamic. No moment shows this off better than their Crown Jewel 2021 entrance, where Orton made his slow and methodical walk to the ring while Riddle hooted and hollered next to him atop a camel. As it turns out, that entrance almost went very differently. As Riddle revealed during an interview with Developmentally Speaking, Orton proposed that he ride a camel as well. However, Vince McMahon shot down the idea as he didn't believe it fit the Viper's character. I remember when we were in Saudi and I rode the camel, and Randy was like, "I want to ride a camel." I was like, "Yeah, Randy, get Randy on a camel." And then Vince was like, "No." Randy's like, "Why not?" Vince like, "Your character wouldn't ride a camel." What a simple answer, you know? Matt Riddle has unfinished business with Randy Orton. Unfortunately, RK Bro's story was left unfinished as Matt Riddle was released from WWE amid Randy Orton's lengthy hiatus due to a back injury. Despite that, Riddle is determined to put the finishing touch on their story, even if it means being brutally written off WWE programming permanently. Matt Riddle. Vince McMahon banned Randy Orton from riding a camel. Vince McMahon's handling of Randy Orton turned the wrestler into a WWE icon. But one thing McMahon wouldn't do is let Orton ride a camel. At WWE Crown Jewel 2021, Orton and Matt Riddle defended the Raw Tag Team titles against AJ Styles and Omos, with Riddle arriving via camel. On a recent edition of the Developmentally Speaking podcast, Riddle recalled McMahon making sure Orton didn't ride the ungulate. He said, "I remember when we were in Saudi and I rode the camel and Randy was like, 'I want to ride a camel.' I was like, 'Yeah, Randy, get Randy on a camel.' And then Vince was like, 'No.' Randy's like, 'Why not?' Vince like, 'Your character wouldn't ride a camel.' What a simple answer, you know? Orton and Riddle retained the titles at the show, but lost the gold a few months later to Alpha Academy. They won the titles back in 2022. Randy Orton to bring back former WWE star after a 15-year absence and reform the legacy? Potent.